Hello, we are live in the business squad. I was supposed to go live last Thursday and we got bad weather. So I am live on Monday, which is super exciting. And the topic, if you were following before, you realize we are talking about offers and whether a person should go high ticket or low ticket and pros and cons of all of those. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. But I'm going to start off with one of your guys' questions because the questions are the best, right? The questions are the best part of it. And this is a great question. And I think many of you that are coming here today are going to be asking this same question. It's what brought you here today. And the question that was asked was, when do we know it's time to quit what we're doing because it's not being successful and regroup and try something different? So when do we move from a high ticket to a low ticket, or from group coaching to one-on-one coaching? When do we make changes within our offer because we're not being successful? How long do we hang on is the question. And so I think this is a great question. And I think a lot of prep work can be done before you started so that you know the answer before you start, because then it takes the emotion out of it. And so I went into the summer saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do this summer, and I'm not changing it. Because I tend to bounce to the next thing. Does anybody else do that? You bounce to the next thing. You're like, oh, let's go do this instead, right? And even sometimes I'll be being successful and I still think I should bounce to the next thing. So for me personally, when I go into an offer, when I go into a program, a workshop, whatever it is I'm doing, I say, okay, I'm going to do this for this long, and then I'm going to think about it and figure out if it's being successful or not. So I give myself a timeline before I go into it. Now, you might be saying, that's great, Heather, I didn't do that. I'm in it, I'm in the thick of it, I'm feeling like I'm not being successful. Do I change? And I think sometimes within that statement and our thought in our head, we think, do I quit and move to something different? And I don't want you to think about it being quitting, because you're not quitting. You learned from what you've done up to this point. And so the question is, okay, is it time for me to maybe pivot or maneuver my offer? And don't say because it's not being successful. I wouldn't phrase it that way either. That's like what we default to. I would say so that it can better serve the people I'm here to help. So think about the question that way. If you're sitting in it right now and you're like, should I be doing something for my offer? Should I have a different offer, high ticket versus low ticket, whatever it might be? The question is there a better way to help and serve the people that you're called to help and serve? And would making the change to your offer help them in a better way for them, depending on who they are and who your ideal client is? And so think about it that way. The other thing I'm being honest about, guys, and I don't think people get real honest in the entrepreneurial world with this particular topic. Sometimes people are like, they're going to hold on, and it's almost like holding on to that rope behind a boat, and they're pulling you and pulling you and pulling you, and you're just dragging along. It's like, for God's sakes, let go of the rope, right? Like there's a time when you have to say, look, this isn't working. I have responsibilities. I'm not making money. I need to be realistic and put my business mindset on about this and do something different. And so don't drown yourself over it. That's not worth it. Find a change to better serve the people you're called to help and serve, and figure that out. And so, you know who you are, and if you tend to bounce like I do, or if you tend to sit too long like some people do, right? Like, think about who you are and how you tend to respond, and then know what your weaknesses are and adjust for them. Don't hang on too long so that you sink the ship. And also, don't bounce either. So hopefully that was helpful. It's different for everybody. I'm always willing to jump on the phone and talk to people about it. I would love to do that. And also, as I go through the different offer types, I think it'll give you an idea of what serves best for what type of client. And I also think it'll give you an idea of the pros and cons of all of them. And because I think we can get sucked into thinking the grass is greener on the other side, and so then we hop and pivot, when actually we just need to fine tune where we're at. I think that's the biggest issue a lot of times. I'm going to say it one more time. People tend to want to, like, it isn't going like I want it to, so I'm going to pivot and hop to something else. when actually you need to strengthen where you're at, because where you're going, the grass isn't any greener. And so let's dive into what we're talking about here as far as high ticket and low ticket. And hopefully this will show up, and if it won't, don't worry, I will tell you so that you can hear. You don't necessarily have to see these things. But I'm going to talk about high ticket, low ticket, so we know what we're talking about for the purposes of this discussion. And then I'll talk about pros and cons of each of them and just what my experience is with them. There's no right answer for everybody. It is absolutely what you want to be doing, how you want to be spending your time. And so that is the biggest thing. And so low ticket, we could have courses, we could have memberships, right, where people join and they're always in there and they belong month after month after month. High ticket, we can have group coaching and we can have one-on-one coaching. We charge more. People ask, like, where do you decide, like, low ticket versus high ticket? And then there's like this middle weird ticket area, right? And so high ticket, I always think of 3,000 or more. That tends to be high ticket, which that leaves you all the way. I mean, we know people charging 30,000 for a product, right? Or for a service, I should say. So, 3,000, anything above 3,000, I tend to call that high ticket. Low ticket is things like memberships. They're $100 a month, $50 a month. Courses, they might be $300 for a course you have access to the rest of your life. And so it just kind of depends on what you want to have and where you're at. But let's go through some of the maybe myths that aren't exactly true. And so people think they're going to have a course or a membership and it's going to be less marketing. And it's not going to be less marketing. If you're on with me, I'd love to have a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Glad that people are joining us. So low ticket, you still have to do a ton of marketing and you still have to be out there getting sales. And the thing with low ticket is it's volume. You have to have such a large volume, and to get that large volume, you have to do a lot of marketing. And I would say that's probably my biggest surprise with my membership group, which I love my membership group. I love everything about it. I love the relationships I build. I love the fact that people can run with it, get in there, learn the 10-hour freedom formula, start marketing, get their questions answered, lots of relationships built in there. So I love the membership group idea, and I love how that works. My biggest surprise as I went into it was just the volume of marketing that it takes. And you can do it, basically the same way you do low ticket. The thing I would say that I found most different about memberships, and particularly memberships versus, and courses too, low ticket versus high ticket. The reason I was really drawn to membership is reoccurring revenue. Even though people come and go, I don't have a lot of people go. So, but I know some people do, so it's always this flux. But you can set it so that you get this reoccurring revenue. So I love that about membership groups. The other thing I really love about membership groups is there's not sales calls. If you're coming in to do a program with me and it's going to be, $50 a month, and you're going to spend 4 hours a week with me and get all the videos, and we're going to build your business together. We're not going to do a sales call for that. You're just going to sign up, and then you're going to be in the group, right? And so if you don't like it, you leave, and if you like it, which I hope you do, you stay. So there's no sales calls. So I was at a point in my life where I'm like, I can't do sales calls. I don't have time for sales calls, and some of those things have changed now, but that's why I started doing a membership group. I also have courses out there just because I felt like I had information that I needed to have out there for people to access that I'm no longer like actively selling. And so that's why I do courses. So that's low ticket membership groups and courses, right? And so pros and cons, no sales calls, but do not underestimate the amount of marketing it's going to take. The next thing I'm going to talk about, is the high ticket. So advantage of high ticket. You can be super particular when you do high ticket. When I do high ticket, particularly if I'm thinking about my writing business, my publishing business, CFI Publishing, I spend a lot of time with people, and I want to like them and I want them to like me. We need to be a really good fit. And so a lot of times people don't believe it, but I tell them, like, I take one client probably for every 5 that are interested. Like, I am very particular. I had a call this afternoon with somebody, and he told me what he did, and then he said, well, how can you help me? And I said, I'm sorry, I don't think I can. And what I told him was, in my publishing business, we move very fast and we are very simple. and we provide books that help people grow their businesses in a very simple way. I found that's very, very important. We don't want overcomplicated where we're talking over people's heads, and we move very fast. And I do the best with people that show up and want to write books in that way. We want to help people. We want to get it to market fast because we know we're not helping people if we're not in the market. And we're not going to make this overcomplicated. We're writing it for the readers. We're not writing it to prove who we are and everything that we have to prove. And so that is one thing about one-on-one coaching. You're going to want to be very, very particular about who you pick. And so you're going to want to do a lot of pre-work, and they're also going to be paying a lot more for it. It's not a $50 low membership, right? And so I spend a lot of time before we onboard a new author. And this gentleman that I said, I can't help you to, he even said, he goes, I was in that workshop and it's like you knew everybody in there. And I did. I probably knew 75% of the people there because I'm building a relationship with them. I want them to come to my workshops. I want them to know how I help people. I want them to understand who I am and what I offer, so that I can get to know them better in return. And then we know we have a match when we do one-on-one coaching. And so one-on-one coaching, you want to make sure there's a lot of upfront work and there's a lot of no's before you take a yes. So the next thing is group coaching. Big believer in group coaching. I love group coaching. It is what I spent, 3 or 4 years of my career in coaching was all group. 4 was group coaching. You learn from the other people in the group. You can help a lot of people at one time. I like it. It's just once in a while that one-on-one coaching, depending on how high level of the people you are that you are serving. Some of them, they just need the one-on-one. Their schedules don't tolerate the group, or who they are just doesn't, right? And so you charge more, you serve at a higher level, you're one-on-one, it's what they need. And so group coaching, one-on-one coaching, pros and cons to both. Love them both. Big benefits with group coaching, which is pretty cool. And so those are the different low ticket versus high ticket and what I've kind of learned along the way. Definitely love for you to put more questions in the comments. You can put them in the business squad. I'd love to answer more on these. Hopefully this helped you. But I would also end with the fact that the best thing you can do is get with somebody that you can share your thoughts with and they can reflect back to you. So that you can kind of work through these things. Somebody that is going to understand that. And I definitely will jump on the call with people. If you guys want phone calls with me, I would love, you guys have showed up for this live. I would love for you to do a strategic call with me. We'll just get on the phone for about 30 minutes and talk through where you're at and what you want to have happen. And we'll see if I can help you out a little bit on the call. But what I'm seeing is everybody's going to AI. And we're saying, hey, I'm thinking I should do this. And I'm going to use chat because that's who I use most of the time in my business. Chat says, oh, Heather, that is so smart. I think you're on the right track, right? Chat tells us what we want to hear. So I love AI, but it's got limitations. And so if you're thinking of making a big change, as tempting as it is, to reach out to AI and have them tell you what you want to hear because they know you and they're going to tell you what you want to hear. You need to get with a good coach that's going to be able to reflect back to you what you maybe don't always want to hear, but what you need to hear. So hopefully this is helpful. I love talking about these things. Again, feel free to click on my calendar link, which I'll attach. We can chat on a call. Jump in my membership group, guys. Loving the membership group. The first, 7 or 14 days are free trial. So you can jump in there, try it out, get on the Q&As that happen. The next Q&A is this Thursday at 6:30. So jump on there before then and we'll chat. So if you have anything you want me to go live about, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you Thursday.